You're listening to Coffee Break Theology, a King of Kings podcast.
All right, welcome back. We are so excited for this next day and this episode as we continue to talk godly masculinity. I'm Greg.
And I'm Marcus. I like this series.
Yeah, it's been
Stop and say
good.
that. It's been really good.
It's been good.
Anyway, GG.
Yeah.
You ever made a decision you were pretty stoked about? And you're like, man, this is going to be awesome. And then it just, every day.
Every day, I think all my decisions are going to be awesome.
Well, have you ever had one that was just disastrous in all areas, in all effects?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
I mean, I bet you
Yes.
have. Like maybe, like, you probably don't bake, do you?
I don't bake as much. I'll cook. Lori will bake a little bit more,
She's
but
the baker.
sometimes I'll try to bake something. Yeah.
When you say try it, you mean it turned out
It
disastrous?
sometimes turns out really bad.
That's kind of what I figured. Well, we all have, right? I have.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. So that brings us to the next guy. Today we're looking at Moses, a man who thought he was ready when he wasn't,
Yeah.
and thought he wasn't ready when God said go.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, quick baking story. I really wasn't baking. I was going to make homemade ice cream for the first time. Like, I always love homemade ice cream. Sometimes Lori's like, I don't want to make it. And so we have a homemade ice cream thing. So there's like literally, there's like 5 ingredients in homemade
Yep.
ice cream.
It's
It's like
pretty easy.
milk, it's sugar, it's vanilla. And I think that's it. There's 3. So I make it and then it's done and I go and I give it to her and it's like super like grainy, like sugary. And she's like, this isn't right. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I followed the recipe and I said, I actually even like cut back into sugar. And she goes, what do you mean? And I said, well, it said 3 or 4 cups. And I chose 3 because I wanted it to be healthier. And she's like, that's 3/4 of a cup.
Oh, geez.
And I was like, I don't even know how I had that brain fart. So
not healthier.
I was not healthier and it was not good. Like, it was so bad. I still laugh about that. Anyways, yeah, back to Moses, right? So Moses had this amazing heart for his people. I mean, it's so cool to see his heart. And it led him to do something that he really shouldn't have. Moses seemed to have leadership potential, but he couldn't seem to make the right calls. It was like he was on the right team, but he didn't have the right playbook.
Yeah. That's Moses.
Yep.
So if you look at his life, you can actually separate it into 3 different areas or 3 different time periods.
Yeah.
He lived for 120 years.
Yeah.
If you break that up evenly, that's 40 years a pop. Each 40-year period was distinct and God shaping him into a man he could use.
I mean, yeah, he did 40 years, right? And he was brought up in the Egyptian palace. I mean,
Right.
so he had the life. Like, what he came from, I mean, to what he is, like, he's got the life, right? And he's part of Pharaoh's family, great education,
Yep.
learned amazing military strategy, and all the rest that comes with living as royalty. Like,
Yeah.
can you even imagine that?
No.
Like, yeah.
My mom keeps telling me, she's like, I think she was adopted,
Yeah.
just like my son and you yourself. But she always says, I think I'm royalty. She's like, I'm definitely Greek royalty.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think so, but we can all think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in Acts 7:22, it kind of describes
Yeah.
this for Moses.
Yeah.
It says, Moses was instructed in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and he was mighty in words and deeds. So he's a prominent guy. He's learned a lot. He's had the best of the best,
Yep.
education and otherwise.
Yep.
He probably looks like he's ready to assume responsibility.
Yep.
We talked about that in the first episode. He's ready to step into some leadership role and take on anything that they can give him. Any military, civil, whatever he wanted to do, he was going to do great at.
Yeah, and I think Moses did feel like he was ready. He saw the poor, deplorable treatment
Yep.
of his people, even though like he wasn't like saying they're his people, but he saw that, right? And one day he finally had enough, and he took matters into his own hands. And he didn't have the authority to do this, but he took the life of an Egyptian,
Right.
and he was beating a Hebrew, and Moses said, "This is not the way that that people should be treated.
Right. And what's interesting when you look at what the Bible says in Exodus 2, it describes this, but it says before he did this, he looked this way and that.
Yeah.
He looked left and right. I mean, to me, that he's covering his tracks.
Yeah.
He's like, is anybody going to see this?
Yeah.
Can I get away with this?
Yeah.
But also notice he didn't look up. He looked left, he looked right.
That's good.
But he never looked up.
I haven't thought about that.
So he never sought out God in this action. He decided what he was going to do, and he didn't consult God, who he should have.
Yeah.
I've heard an author say this about Moses. There's too much Moses in Moses.
Oh, wow. I like that.
I like it.
It's a good saying. You could probably say that about any of us, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So he wasn't ready yet. So he's found out for the crime.
Yep.
Pharaoh was going to have him tried and killed.
Yep.
And so Moses did what I think any of us would do. He fled into the wilderness, right?
Get away from it all. He fled to a place called Midian. Seems like all that potential leadership that he's got, all that learning, all that education, it's all gone. It's all wasted.
Yeah.
He came to be a shepherd out there in the middle of nowhere. What else are you going to do? You're going to be a shepherd. So he's got to hang out with dumb sheep all day.
Right?
Like his leadership was not meant to lead sheep.
Yeah.
He doesn't interact with people all that much probably. But God's working on him. He's out in the wilderness. God is out there working on him.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes we can all feel like our talents are being wasted.
Yep.
Like even when we're fleeing, even when we're just not doing there.
Yep.
Like we can say, I'm on the wrong spot. Like, I mean, now this is kind of like, are you on the right seat on the right bus?
Yep.
Right. All that type of stuff like there. And so, you know, we're always wondering like, am I appreciated? Am I maximizing what I'm called to do?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like when we have God with us, like we know, well, he's working on us, whatever seat we're in, he's refining us wherever he's at, he's transforming us in this. And so, this is also a character training, I think,
right.
For Moses, like doing the faithful things, right. In that, and they're little things.
Yeah.
And so, you know, as we do our faithful things, right. As we obey in the little things, we then know we'll be trusted to obey in the big things.
Absolutely. So yeah, that first 40 years was him with the education and then learning all these things and seemingly leading up to his potential.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kills the Egyptian. And then the next 40 years is his time in the wilderness. This is God working on him.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time where he's like, man, this isn't what I thought this was going to be. But God's working on him. God is transforming him into a man of character. And in his potential that he had after the first 40 years.
Yeah.
He's like, man, I'm going to do some great things. He's more interested in his success than he should have been.
Yeah.
And God's much more interested in the character that he has.
Yeah.
Because God's like, yeah, you can do a lot of great things, but if you don't do it in the right way or in my timing, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So he's much more interested in our character.
Do you wonder something like this just kind of popped into my head? I'm curious about this. Like he spent those 40 years in the wilderness, right? Kind of coming out. And then we know later on, part of the punishment was the wandering in the wilderness for the 40 years. I wonder how much of that also was like, as they were wandering, like Moses is like, hey guys, I'm used to this.
Yep.
Like, you know, like he's prepared. So it's not like I've never done this. I'm not new.
Yep.
I don't know. That's just an interesting spot to think about on there.
Yeah. I think he was trained.
Yeah. I mean, think about that. So as Moses has been transformed and he's looking into that character, God comes to him in this most unexpected way.
Yeah.
This like eternally burning bush.
Yeah.
Right.
The burning bush I can get.
Yeah.
Like things burn all the time.
Yeah.
But then it starts talking to you.
And apparently in the desert, that does happen once in a while. Like that just gets so hot.
Spontaneous combustion.
But they flitter out, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
But okay. So it's a bush on fire.
Yeah.
It starts talking to you.
Yeah, that's
do you know
crazy.
how insane that sounds? But this is the way that God decides to come to him. I bet it was pretty freaking awesome though.
It's gotta be awesome. Like how can it not be, right? That's an understatement.
Yeah.
It's so awesome that Moses is like, I'm afraid to look at it, which again, we see over and over again when you see the glory of God, like you can't look.
Right.
And two, like God calls him into this. And one, Moses also knew it was sacred ground. He was told, take your sandals off. This is sacred. This is holy ground. You're in front of the Lord. Right. And so he says, go get his people. And Moses clams up.
Right.
Like, this guy who's had education and military, he's been trained to lead people.
Yep.
And now when God calls him to lead his people, he clams up on this. And he says, hey, listen, I've made a ton of mistakes before. I'm not really ready for this. Send someone else.
Yeah, exactly. And when he considered himself adequate, God considered him inadequate. He says, I'm ready. God says, no, you're not.
Wow.
But then when he considers himself inadequate, God says, you're the exact person that I can work with to do this job. When he says, go find somebody else, God's like, no, like you're the person I want. I have made you into what I need you to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Moses just then begins to rattle excuses, which I think is so common. When God calls us to something, we go, here's why I can't do this. Here's why I blah, blah, blah. And we have all these things. But he says, I'm no good at speaking. They're not going to listen to me. Who am I?
Yeah, exactly. And yet God still calls him to lead.
Oh,
God knew that he couldn't do all these things. God knows all his downfalls, but he's still like, no, I think it's time for you to go.
Yeah. And
so that tells me God's criteria for leadership, it's not the same as ours. It's completely different.
Yeah. And Moses says, I'm not eloquent enough. And God says to him, who gave human beings their mouths? Like I did. So go and I will help you speak and I will teach you what to say.
Yep.
And then he tells Moses' bro, Aaron, hey, you're going to help him. Yep. And the two of them go and they confront the mightiest person on earth, Pharaoh. And they say, we're going to take God's people, basically decimate your whole land. Yep. We're going to take God's people and we're going to be used to free them by the Lord and bring them to the promised land.
Yeah, that's awesome. So in the middle 40 years for Moses, God was hammering him. God was drilling him. God was making him so low, probably felt the lowest he'd ever felt in his life.
Yeah.
But he's working. He's forging us into his men. Martin Luther said this, God made the world out of nothing. So long as we are nothing, he can make something out of us.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. When I read that, I was like, man, this is cool.
That's a good one.
It's very encouraging. But it's encouraging because I feel like a lot of times I'm a whole lot of nothing.
Right.
Like
right.
You get in those, who am I?
Right. Right.
I feel low.
Yeah.
But when God says, no, you're low, I can still use you.
Yeah.
And I will use you for great things. That's pretty great.
Yeah. And this is where I like to say it this way. God always does the extraordinary out of the ordinary.
Yep.
And that's a reminder for us. Right. And so God calls us to fear and love and trust in him above all things. Right. And so we do that. We fear, love, and trust in him above all those things. And that's what God calls us to do. I'm so thankful that the large catechism reminds us of that, to do that. And so that includes us. Every single one of us is called to trust in his ability to work through our weaknesses.
Right.
And that God is right there doing that through us, just like he did to Moses.
Yeah. He wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
Moses, he got angry. He made mistakes. He did things he shouldn't have. But he kept showing up to serve God's people. He kept answering the call.
Yeah, a leader I super respect, love reading his stuff. His name's John Maxwell. He says, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way.
Nice.
And so even when it got messy, Moses and Aaron, they got a front row seat to the messiest negotiation of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was terrible. The 10 plagues.
Yeah.
But they stayed obedient to follow their God.
Right.
Right.
And to see all those plagues happen, I mean, a lot of them were devastating.
Oh, but
disgusting, all those things. But they knew it was from God, and they knew that God was behind it.
Yeah.
And they knew it was for a purpose.
Yeah.
So they finally escape. They get away from Egypt. They take the people. God leads them into the wilderness out of Egypt. This starts the next 40 years for Moses. But now, like you said before, so now the Israelite people are going to spend the next 40 years wandering and wondering, what the heck are you doing, God? And they grumble, they complain, they do all these things. And Moses is sitting there like, hey guys, I've been there.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. But he also knows God's leading us to the promised land, the promise to Abraham all those years ago. This is where we're going.
Yeah. Yeah. And absolutely Moses made mistakes.
Yeah.
But he kept leading until his death. He brought 2 million people through the wilderness.
Yeah.
And I think this is an important spot for us to remember as he was heading to the promised land. And men, I think this is an important spot for us as well. When you're leading, right? And you know that this is where God's calling, and you know you're doing the will of God, right? In that leadership. If Moses had listened to the crowd, to the 2 million, they would have actually gone back to Egypt.
Oh, absolutely.
And he didn't. He stood up, he stood firm, and he continued to say, no, we're going to keep going where God has called us to lead.
Yep.
And so that's a reminder for us. The crowd eventually is always going to want to take you back where you were because they're afraid of what's ahead.
Right.
And so keep being uncommon.
Yeah. And what's crazy is it's 2 million people's opinions versus yours. Like he was the leader. He actually won out. But so
Right.
quick note about 2 million people.
Yeah.
That is an extraordinary amount of people.
Right.
That's city of Omaha.
Oh,
surrounding
twice
area.
the city. Twice the
Yeah.
city and surrounding. Like
So,
we just crossed 1 million people in our Omaha region.
oh, wow.
So yeah,
So twice that.
twice
2 Omahas.
2 Omahas.
And Moses is leading these people through the wilderness.
Yep.
I read a book called Manna. So it's
Okay.
talking about manna and miracles and all that stuff. But if we believe, and we do as Lutherans, that this is a true story, this is true
Yeah,
history.
absolutely.
2 million people were wandering around, and God said, I will feed you with manna.
Right.
In Exodus, it says that God provided them this manna. It would rain down from heaven. And he said, take an omer each day. And he would provide for them every single day. Well, what is an omer? I have no idea. I'm not all that smart.
No.
But people way smarter than me say it's about 2 quarts.
Wow.
So that's what they would eat in manna every single day per person.
Okay.
So 2 million people, 2 quarts, that's 4 million quarts of manna, which roughly 8 or 9 million pounds of manna, which is 4,500 tons, 4,500 tons of manna. That would require today 300 train cars.
Oh my gosh.
Each carrying 15 tons of manna to feed his people
Wow.
every single day
For 40 years.
for 40 years. That to me is wild.
Wow. And again, this reminds us God doesn't need our help. Like, right. And yet he still gives us the chance to participate in his plan.
Yeah.
Super honoring.
Absolutely. All right. So challenge time
Yeah. Come on.
for this week. It's threefold. I would like you to ask yourself 3 questions.
Right.
First, where's your pride telling you you're ready when you're maybe really not ready?
That's good.
Because I fall into that one a lot.
You're right. Me too.
Are you in the wilderness? And how is God forging you? And how might you be hindering that forging? You're not going to like it.
You're right.
God hammers on us.
Right.
You're not going to like it, but he's working. And 3, what is one area of leadership you've been avoiding because you feel unqualified? Feel like we all have that piece too of like,
Yeah.
no, not me,
Yeah.
not me.
Yeah. 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 And it's a reminder that, when we feel unqualified, that God qualifies the called.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's there.
Beautiful.
And that's because God, he doesn't expect us to be perfect.
Right.
Like first of all, don't ever put that burden on yourself.
Right.
I mean, and don't put that burden on someone else.
Exactly.
And so just be obedient. Just follow faithfully in your obedience. Walk step by step.
Yep.
Because he's building you that you can really do something that will make an impact and make a difference.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for this week. Come back next week. We're going to discuss Joshua. And then I think maybe some of you guys will learn what flint knives were used for.
Oh, we should whittle. We should whittle some sticks.
Yeah, we should definitely do that.
Yeah. I loved whittling when I was a kid.
See you next week.
Thanks for listening to Coffee Break Theology. Be sure to tune in next time and remember to check out our other podcast series available on every major podcast listening service.